1. Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
So today in the studio, we have a very, very, very special guest with us. And I'll tell you why. She is special because in 2023, 48% of agents did not sell a single home. That's basically 1 in 2 agents nationally did not sell a house. And 98% of agents sell fewer than 18 homes a year. So that averages out to about 1.5 homes a month. Well, Tina Caul's team is going to close 1,000 houses this year. That averages 3 houses a day. So thank you so much for being in the studio with us today, Tina.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, how did you go from, because you weren't born into real estate royalty, right?
No.
No?
Far from.
So when you started in real estate, how long did it take for you to, say, break the 50 homes a year mark?
It took a long time. So I always say the first 7 years of my career, I was an average agent doing average business. So I did anywhere from 15 to 25 sales. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a process. I just kind of worked my referral business. And I was 23. So not a lot of my friends were buying houses.
That is hard.
And so it just kind of grew very small, very organically. But I had one shift in my business, and that's where I met my mentor back in 2008. Mike Ferry, who a lot of people know. He's been around since 1975. So once I met him and found a process, my day shifted, my whole world shifted, and I just catapulted. I went from 30 deals to 50 to 80 to 130 deals consistently.
Wow.
So because I knew what I should be doing as a real estate agent every day.
Got it. And so when agents are listening to this, whether they're, because you said Mike Ferry's been around since 1975. I think Tom Hopkins trained Mike Ferry.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Mike Ferry, and then there's Tom Ferry and Bill Pipes, and there's the whole
and they all stem
gambit.
From Mike.
Yep, they all stem from Mike.
Yeah.
And so the point, what is it? Principles are enduring, right? Practices sometimes flow with the times, but principles are enduring. Would you say the stuff that you were learning from Mike, in 2008 is still relevant today?
Absolutely, 100%. You'll find a lot of marketers right now, especially social media gurus. They'll throw stones at something that they can't do. So they'll say, oh, prospecting's dead, cold calling is dead. And then they'll say, but buy my course, it's social media. Ta-da! And you're like, okay, well, that's great, but that's not a duplicatable system. And by the way, I don't look like you. I don't sound like you. I'm not going to have the right, tonality like you, so I'm going to get a different result. So you can't package it like you can package a script and say, hey, I don't care what your personality is. You could be a high C, a high D, a high I, whatever.
Yeah.
And you could read this script, get better at it, and actually have duplicatable results. And that's universal.
Yep.
So to me, that's still the foundational aspect of the business. You have to talk to a lot of people, and you have to get rejected at a high level to create a huge business.
And that's what I tell agents all the time, because they're like, hey, how do I grow my social media? How do I do this? And I'm like, do you want the fame or do you want the fortune?
Yep.
Because you can have 1,000 followers or have 1,000 views on something, but if you look up those agents' production, it oftentimes doesn't support the image that they're putting on social media.
Agreed.
So we run a little team, much smaller than yours, but I was recently interviewing an agent, and she was saying, hey, I've been in the industry almost 20 years, and to be on our team, you have to hit, there's three lead pillars. The third pillar is an ISA department, appointments, we call them appointment setters. And in order to qualify for the appointment setters, you have to make a certain number of dials a week, right? So there's a bar. I would think it's a very achievable bar, but there's still a bar. And she was like, well, I don't, I've been doing this for 20 years. I think I'm beyond making the calls. And I said, really? The number one EXP earner in our entire company, he was just sitting next to me and he was making calls. Tom Daves, local legend here in the Sacramento market. He's sold over 7,000 homes, and he's making calls right now. So, I guess the point I'm trying to ask is, that's been my experience, that you can't outgrow the prospecting. What's your experience? Do you think you can outgrow the prospecting, or has anybody come so far where they don't need to necessarily prospect?
So I think you can outgrow the prospecting if you replace the prospector. So like
Yep.
I used to do the prospecting where it was 2-3 hours a day, and I was constantly, in the office every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday mornings. I love Saturday mornings, and I loved Sunday afternoons. And so, but if I were to remove myself from that post, the inside sales associate post,
Yeah.
then I'm going outside sales. But who is replacing me? So I would bring in an ISA and then let them do somebody's got to do lead generation.
Correct.
Or you'll have a stagnant business. So that's why the most seasoned, polished, rich agents know that they wake up every day and they do the number one activity that brings people in the door, which is the blah, blah, blahs.
The blah, blah,
all day
blahs,
long.
talking on the phone.
That's right.
So to recap, you were in real estate for 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of figuring it out. You came across Mike Ferry,
Yep.
and he said, make calls, and here's how you do it.
Yep.
And then so oftentimes agents get frustrated because they think it's going to take a little bit, it'll happen faster than they expect.
Mm-hmm.
And you said year one you went to 30 deals in a year?
Well, I had already been an agent for 7. So remember,
Correct.
I had sort of the foundation. I knew how to do deals. So I got to go a little bit faster because all I was doing was, oh gosh, I got to wake up at a certain time, get to the office at 7:30. I role played. So just like any, professional sports team, they're going to practice a lot.
Yep.
And that's the shift for me was, oh, I'm a professional. I get to practice my scripts, my tonality, my upswings, my downswings, listen to the tape, just like a football team would watch the tape back. I'm listening to it back. I used to have a lot of ums in my presentation, which made me sound not confident. And I could fix that by listening to the feedback. And then my coach would listen to it and we would literally dissect it. And so we just became really obsessed about becoming excellent. And to me, I think that's what a professional does. They want to get to the top of their game. What could I achieve beyond the best of the best? And
Yeah.
so I think that's just something that a lot of us strive for is how do we become better every day?
Yeah. So you had a good base, and then
Good
your
base.
first year with Mike, how much did your production increase by?
So I remember when I signed up for Mike, I had lost pretty much all my income. I was down because of the market. So I was making $150,000. This was 24 years ago, down to 40. That first year back, I got back to $130,000 in income. So I got back what I
Yeah.
lost. And then we moved from Michigan. So this is how confident we were in the new plan that we found. We said, hey, we've grown up here for 30 years, but let's just move because we can do this anywhere. There are houses everywhere. The scripts are the same. So we packed our family up. We moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. Didn't know a soul. Couldn't get out of my driveway without GPS to go to the gas station. And we started dialing. And our first expired, was a short sale. And I knew how to do short sales at the time. This was 2009. And I listed it, and then it was an expired frenzy because the market was falling apart.
Yeah.
So agents were leaving the business. I got literally showed up to Remax. I picked the corner office with the biggest windows, and I'm like, I'm here. And it gave us we got not a promotion, but a raise because our average price in Michigan was, I think, $110,000 by the time we left. It was $300,000 by the time we moved to Raleigh. So it was like we made more money. And then we sold 35 homes. We sold one home in 6 months because we were just trying to get acclimated. And then we sold 33 homes in the second 6-month period.
Wow.
And then it was 55, then 80 something, and then 100, over 100 that fourth year.
Okay.
And that's where things started to fall apart.
What do you mean fall apart?
Meaning there's only one of me. I need leverage. I had more customers than I did human service hours. So it was like, okay, I need some help. And I had enough business. I think a lot of team leaders just start a business where I was like, I didn't think I would ever lead a team or start a team, but I just needed help. And so I had an agent that reached out to me and she's like, I want to be on your team. And I was like, oh, this is a weird concept. Okay, here's all my buyers. So it was fun. She knocked out all the buyers. I did all the sellers. I got to grow my seller side business, which started to really give me back my time. And then she got overwhelmed and we hired another buyer agent. And that's where sort of the call group started.
Got it. And so when you were growing, before you even brought that first agent on, was your husband involved in the business?
He was. So he moved with, obviously with me from Michigan. He was used to be a special finance department guy at car dealerships and travel the nation, set up special finance departments. And we hated the job. It was long hours, like we never saw him. So he got his license and he became one of the ISAs. Like, he basically made calls for me. So when I was out on appointments, he would stay back and make calls, as long as it took, because we literally had $100,000 net worth when we left Michigan. We sold everything at 29, 30 years old, and we left with $100,000. And I remember we got down to like $5,000 in our bank account. And my husband knocked on the door. He's like, we need to take more listings or we're moving back to Michigan. And I'm like, hell no, I won't go.
Don't want to deal with the weather? Or?
I hated the weather.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to fail. And so we just kind of, again, ramped it up. I started to close more on appointments. I was really terrible at asking for the signature because I'm much more like amiable. I want them to like me. I don't want to push people. I don't want to feel pushy.
If they ask, hey, can I sign? Then you're fine with it.
Exactly. Or sometimes I would send all the package of information out and they would already have it filled out. And I'm like, oh, they're mine. So sometimes like 1 out of 10 might do that. But I had to learn how to push for the signature, to ask for the business, just like they would expect me to ask for the business if I'm showing their house and the buyer's giving me all these buyer signals. If they were in the closet watching me, like, close, they're saying this is the time you ask them to write up the deal.
Yeah.
That I had to get to that. Like, they want a closer. They want to be led.
Yep.
And I had to build the confidence for that. Because remember, I was still new to the process of having a presentation, asking a lot of questions, and closing. Mm-hmm. I let the customer lead the first 7 years. I let the business happen to me, where I was taking more control of the business. And to list homes in high volume, you have to be able to close. So we worked on that to where I would have multiple closes ready, because I knew that if I walked out the door, 70% chance I'm not getting the listing.
Correct. That's the same thing that we've experienced here, is where we'll go in the living room, and if you don't push, and I say push, we're not a pushy company.
Sure.
But it's like they're nervous, they're scared. You got to understand what's holding them back. And so you kind of got to break through those barriers and have an honest conversation. And so if we're not closing at least 3 times, like asking for like, hey, what's the deal? Are you confident with me? Are you confident with my marketing? Like,
right.
If you're not doing that, then when you leave, all of a sudden they have a friend, family member.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. I always liken it to like when you go see a movie and you're just, in the movie, you're experiencing it, it's all emotional. You walk out and you're like high-fiving it. Oh, that was awesome. I love that movie. So you're still, the excitement's there. You're talking about the movie in the car. By the time you get home, there's no more conversation about the movie. The excitement has gone away. Yep. And that's the same thing with an agent. They're excited. They like you. You're like, yeah, they like me. They really like me. I know they're going to want to work with me. And then, oh, well, we need to think about it. And, oh, well, we'll call you. Well, by that time, like you said, they've talked to the neighbor. Oh, this guy can list it for less, and the excitement's over. Yep. Well, your chances just drop dramatically to get that business. So we got to get them while they're emotionally and logically in tune with your data.
And 70% is not an insignificant number. So you might as well take the shot while you're there, because they're probably not calling you. They're going to ghost you after that.
Agreed. Yeah. So you may as well just, try and say, hey, as a professional, we agreed on price. You believe that I can sell your home, correct? Yeah, you like everything I present you. Well, I would love to work with you. Like, I would love to sign you up today, and let's just get started. Yeah. Sometimes it's just asking that question. Like, I'm ready. Are you? Yeah. And they're like, okay, fine. They want to be led.
Are you ready to let me help you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for agents who are either new in the business or struggling, because I don't know what it's like in Raleigh, but transactions are down significantly in our market. Is it down in Raleigh as well?
Transactions are down. Luckily, our team is still up because we've realized that we have to double and triple the amount of activity we were doing. So I'm very much like reading the tea leaves. Hey, guys, we had the wind at our back the last 3 years. You think you're good? You're not that good. Like, we all think we were good. We were not that good. So now we got to skill up, level up. So we poured a lot of education into our agents, and we're just hammering them, tracking their numbers. Like, we're getting back to the basics, weekly coaching calls, one-on-ones. So things that they probably don't enjoy, but I know from being there, I needed it. And so whatever I think made me successful, I just kind of push onto them. Like, trust me. And some of them won't like it and they leave. I don't like this. Okay, well, then go do your own thing. Like, I can't help you. But I want them to succeed. And somebody's got to be there to push them, because most people are not as motivated as they think, self-motivated.
Yep.
So they need that extra push and accountability to be successful.
That's what we say. Accountability is love.
It is. It is.
And so when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about how you make agents successful.
Great.
So, Mike, when you go to a restaurant and the food is phenomenal, the staff and everybody there is really friendly, you want to go back there over and over again,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
That's what happens when you get good service. It happened to Betty when she worked with our friend Johnny Jennings to sell her house during a tough situation in her life. Johnny Jennings did such a great job that when it came to sell her mother's home in Roseville, she couldn't think of anybody better than, of course, Johnny Jennings with the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. They found the perfect buyer for her mom's home and negotiated a quick sale as is.
Yeah, and that as is part is the key, because if you want to sell your home but you don't want to invest all the time and money to get it fixed up and perfect and ready, good news, Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty can get you at least 3 cash offers. I mean, 1 would be cool, but 3 cash offers, and experience the same level of service that Betty did, because they've got an entire team looking to make your home selling experience as easy and as efficient as it can be. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So we are back with Tina Caul from Raleigh, North Carolina. And just a brief recap, she started in the industry, average agent for the first 7 years, and all of a sudden something changed, and she started prospecting 3 hours a day, and she jumped up from 50 to 80 to over 100 deals a year. And then you decided to start a team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of just out of necessity. It wasn't like, hey, an ego thing. It's like, I have too much business. I need help.
That's exactly right.
And so once you started the team, you had one buyer's agent, then a second buyer's agent. Where are you guys at now?
So we got our team up to like 68 agents, and we realized we had to restructure. We needed some leadership changes. What got us here won't get us there kind of attitude. Mm-hmm. And we had, we were just letting anybody onto the team because we had a Zillow Flex account.
Oh, you
and
did?
Flex is like, hey, you need to, bring in all these agents. So
Do you still have Flex? Or?
We do. We
Okay.
do. But we've skimmed down. So we went back to who do we want to be around? We want hungry people, but we want them to be passionate about making calls and driven and motivated. So we're not just hiring anybody anymore. So we have right now, we're at 47 or 48 agents, which is great. And we have a whole new leadership team, which is awesome. They have a lot of experience in the industry, where before I kind of hired friends and brought people up that were not in the industry. Mm-hmm. And it was great. I mean, they helped build to where we were, but I knew we needed a new set of minds to get us to the next level, which we're at. So
Got it. And so now you're sitting with 48 agents. If somebody's looking, like, who would you say is a good fit? Like somebody that should be on a team that would benefit from being on a team?
So I always look at statistics, and I've heard somebody say this, and I agree with it. It's like you can have ego or you can have money. And I think a lot of times, when you look at why people demonize teams or they don't want to be on teams, it comes from the brokerages not wanting teams to form, because teamrages are basically competition against the broker owner.
Yep.
So the broker owner wants you there doing your basic deals to get you to cap or to get you to whatever that minimum standard is, but then leave them alone. Don't do too many deals. Like, don't get too successful, because you're weighing down the staff. Anytime our team would work for Remax or Keller Williams or whatever, it's taxing. Like, we're getting a deal because we're doing all these deals, and we're still paying the same as somebody who did 16 deals.
Yeah.
And so I think that mentality is gifted down to kind of brainwashed to the agents, like, stay solo. Don't work for yourself. You're an entrepreneur. The reality is we have agents on our team making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year at 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 splits. So what we are is, I think a team is under 20 people, like 15, 20 people. That's a team. We're a teamridge. Like, we're a brokerage.
Yep.
And so we give high level of service. We supply a lot of the leads, that come inbound, so agents can turn it on and off like a faucet. They can still build their business through the years with their own referrals. Mm-hmm. So it's a great place to jumpstart, but it's a great place to scale. So if you're an agent that sells, the average agent in the nation sells 2 to 4 homes a year, that's the average in our market too. So these agents, everyone has to remember, they make 20 to 30 grand a year. Most agents are broke. That's
Yep.
the reality.
Drive a fancy car, but they're broke.
But they're broke. So all these agents are like, I'm solo. I sell 8 deals. And like, that's cool. You get to keep 100% of your commission or 80% or whatever it is. But 80% of 8 deals is not better than 50% of 50.
Correct.
You know, so they
But I have to work so much harder.
Exactly. Well, so does everyone that has to make more money. Like we all have to work harder to make more. So I think I just tell them like if you want to get into scaling your business and a volume-based business, we do volume here. I do volume at less. Like I made $7,000 on average as a solo agent, but I make $2,000 as a team leader net to, net profit. So yes, it's less, but I sell more homes because I have more people. So yes, you're going to make on average $5,000 to $6,000 a transaction here versus $8,000. But if I can get you to 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions a year, of course you're going to have to work harder, but you're just going to make a shit ton of money. So,
and you have less overhead.
Less overhead, no expense. You can go on vacation. Someone's covering your business. You've got true training. You've got, just hiring a coach is $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
Our partners don't have to do that. Having weekly, using the brains collectively, like we actually teach our agents to go out into the market and say to sellers, hey, most agents you meet with are going to tell you, we're going to test your price for a week. Like, here's the price. We'll test it. And we'll get 10 showings. And then we'll ask those agents to give us feedback. Well, guess what? The 10 showings, they didn't do a market analysis on the property. They're just giving their opinion. We actually show that we could bring 20, 30, 40 opinions before your house launches. These are agents that can look at a video of your home, do an assessment of value, and then help the listing agent with that data real time and bring you bring you 30 showings before we launch. Like we can leverage the agents on the team. They can leverage each other by knowing real-time data, real-time, like what's happening out in the market, because we're selling 3 homes a day, not 1 a quarter. Yeah. So it's like they get to utilize each other, and that's what I try to tell them. Like, you guys don't know how special it is to have that collective knowledge. Knowledge is a tool, and it's an instrument they can use if they leverage each other, and they use each other wisely. And so I think it's a competitive advantage. I didn't have that, and I wish I did.
Got it. So for somebody that is on a team or considering to be on a team, what would you recommend they look for? Because there's a lot of options out there, because there's brokerages and then there's tons of teams typically within a brokerage or a branch. Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, if I were looking today, I would want somebody that inspires, like they have a life that I want. They have done what they're telling me to do, because it's sort of like, when I was out golfing and you'd be golfing with all these guys and they say, oh, well, keep your head down or do it this way. And I just go, here, show me. You show me. Like, here, take the club and show me. And so if you can show me this amazing swing, I'm going to trust you. So just like a team leader, like, tell me that you did these things. Tell me that you walked through the trenches and you did it. And so I would want to know like that they had success. And then I would want somebody who was a forever learner that was pouring into organizations. I met a guy a couple weeks ago, and he actually goes into different businesses and he helps train the leadership teams to pour back into people. And he said 5 out of 100 companies that he would work for actually help develop their people, like self-develop with assessments and tests. And like, he's like, most people don't believe in self-development. And the fact that you guys do is huge. And so for me, that would be important, that my team leader is into self-development.
Always better every day.
Yes.
Because what is it? Is it Maxwell, the law of the lid?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay, so if you're an agent, make sure that team leader, that company is practicing what they preach and has a track record of success.
Yep.
Do you think that at some point, like, let me ask you this. So do you think the team leader should be responsible for providing all the leads, or do you think they should be doing a little bit of lead generation themselves? Or what's that look like?
No, I think everybody should unanimously know how to hunt and self-generate. You can't just be like, oh, well, give me all the leads. Well, yeah, I mean, there are some, but what are you going to do once you get the leads? Because even if you were on your own and you got leads, you have to still cultivate those leads, drip on the leads, love on the leads. Like, you have to build relationships. And really, to me, the relationship starts after the closing. That's when then it starts. You're servicing until it closes. Now I get to cultivate and water the garden and get more deals out of these people and build trust. So for me, that's the relationship starter. So then they have to learn how to do that, so then they can grow their own business and have eventually maybe 70% is self-gen, 30% comes from the team, and I don't know, maybe a few other sources, but they should go from all team business to 50-50 to 30-30-30, and just have different buckets, so they can not, like, what if one lead source goes away from your team? Now what do you have? Like, if we lose Zillow Flex, as long as they've done other things, they should be okay.
Yep.
And if they know how to hunt, the important thing for me is they know how to hunt. And they know, like, if I decide to shut down the team tomorrow, now what? Like, they should know what that is. So they should know how to build a business, build a team, do their taxes, like all of it. So they know enough information where they can go start their own team. And we've had agents do that. We've had a couple agents go, I want to start my own team. Good, go.
Yeah.
And then others are like, I'm going to be here forever. And then others are like, I just want to be solo. Great. I mean, there's a flavor for everyone.
Yep.
But as long as I'm not, the worst thing you can do is not pour into people. And then you have a bunch of unmotivated, untalented people around me. Like, that would be a no-no.
So you're looking for hunters. You're looking for people who are, like, committed to the industry.
Yeah, I'm looking for growth. Like, they want to grow, and they'll do whatever it takes, because there's nothing worse than laziness. Like, if they're like, I just don't want to work that hard, well, then don't pick this team, because, like, could you imagine joining, like, an elite football team and like, I just don't like to practice.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Like, we're not going to win championships with you. So you're only as good as your weakest player, and we just don't want really weak players.
That makes perfect sense. So as we wrap up our time today, if somebody's looking to hire an agent, what would be, like, the 3 things they should be looking for in somebody?
You mean a seller or buyer?
Yeah, seller or buyer, if they're looking to work for somebody.
I think for me, it would be somebody who's confident, somebody who I'm going to put in front of, like, if I'm a seller and you're going to represent me, I want to see, how did you treat me? How professional were you from our first conversation to how you showed up? Was your hair done? Did you look nice? Did you shake my hand professionally? Did you look me in the eye? Were you confident with what you were telling me? Can I be led by you? Because if you are letting your clients lead you, I don't think that's professional to me. Like, what is the point?
Why are they paying you?
Why are they paying you?
If they're providing all the expertise and all the feedback.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you lose the negotiating, like, cut your commission. Okay, how much? Well, the other guy said they do it for this. Okay, I'll do it too. Like if a seller is not afraid of that, they should be, because your agent just lost the first negotiation to you.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
That's a good point.
Right?
So you want somebody that's confident.
Yes.
And experienced, probably.
Experience is one thing. I mean, somebody gave me a shot when I was younger, but I felt like I came off confident, even though I was shaking inside. So you have to be confident and feel like, you can at least pretend that you're confident, or just be confident and authentic and say, like, hey, I'm going to dedicate all my time, but I've got these people behind me. I got you. Like, I can get the answers. And I think that's the key. I think that's what buyers and sellers want.
I agree. They want the confidence. They want the certainty that, hey, this person can get the job done, whether it's buying or selling the home.
Yeah, and information. Like, you should be like so into learning everything about your area, like literally everything, like an encyclopedia of your area. So that way, you do bring a little bit more value to the table when you're showing buyers, and they're not telling you all about the area. Like, that would be terrible.
Yep, that doesn't inspire confidence.
No.
So, well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show today. Wish you guys tons of success. Hopefully you can come back next year and maybe you'll be cracking 2,000 homes.
Hey, maybe. I hope.
Thanks
for
Tina.
having me.
You're welcome.
Okay, Matt, it is a rare person who enjoys having strangers walk through their house and looking at every little crevice and corner. And if you are normal and you don't want strangers walking through your house when you're trying to sell it, do what Sabrina did. Sabrina wanted a cash offer for her home, so Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty made her a dream offer, which of course she accepted, and she was even able to stay in her home after closing so she could make a smooth transition to her new home, which of course she bought with Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty.
They won't just get you one cash offer. They'll get you at least 3 cash offers for your home in as-is condition. It's fast, it's simple, it's private, it's safe, and oftentimes it's in the same day. So no need to do all of those costly repairs like replacing the flooring. Johnny Jennings' team is the best. That's why they were voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years. That's why they've got almost 800 5-star Google reviews. Get your guaranteed offer today because you expect more. Well, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
All right, Johnny, you got to hear this story. So I have some friends, they're looking for a home, and their realtor showed up to a house, and she had told them that the owner of the house said to knock and push the doorbell to see if they're home. If not, just go unlock the lockbox. Like put in the code and that gives you the key, right? What do they call that?
You're right. Super lockbox.
Yeah. And so they rang the doorbell. They waited a couple minutes, just assumed, okay, they're not home. You know where this is going.
Yeah.
So they go to the lockbox and get the key out. They go into the house. The lights are off. They start flicking the lights off to look at the home. They go into the bedroom, open the door, and there is the owner of the house on the floor naked, passed out. Apparently he's diabetic, and while he was getting dressed, he passed out, had an episode. And they were freaked out. They turned around and left. And she apparently called an ambulance. They were able to revive him. Have you ever had an issue like that? What do you do in a situation like that? That just seems crazy to me. That would scare the heck out of me.
Well, the first red flag for me was like knock on the door. Like, why do I have to knock? There shouldn't be anybody there, or there's going to be somebody there, and we should know. Like, why?
That was the instructions that their realtor was given. Knock on the door, ring the doorbell to see if we're home. If not, go around, get the key from the lockbox, then come into the house. Apparently, the guy didn't hear the doorbell because he was passed out.
He was passed out, poor fella. No, that's where I'm like, that's weird. Why? Either I can go in or I can't go in. Why do I have to knock? You know, because you're going to see the whole house. So that would have been my first red flag. But to answer your question, I have a story like that, and so with those little blue lock boxes, those super lock boxes, only agents or real estate appraisers, you have to have a license and you have to pay like a monthly fee in order to be able to access them. And normally this is a great feature to provide home sellers because it tracks who's been in the home, when, their phone number, their license number, when did they arrive, when did they leave. There's a lot of great benefits to this. However, if it's between a certain window of time, anybody with the app is able to open the lockbox and access the property. And so there's this built-in accountability, this built-in, process where I want to keep my license. I don't want to get fined. I don't want to do this. So there's no issue with people opening the lockbox. Well, sometimes mistakes do happen, or sometimes agents, probably newer agents, just don't understand what they're doing. And this, again, out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes we've sold, like Valerie and I have sold personally, this is the only time I can think of this happening. But it's a very similar story. It was super cool, actually. The people owned a number of Little Caesars in the area. So they had all these Little Caesars, and they had bought this house a long time ago. And when they bought it, they then refinanced it, a cash refi, pulled the money out, and that's how they launched their Little Caesars business. So this is the house that baked 1 million pizzas. Right. So it's a great story. They eventually, moved up, got a nicer house. Their parents were then living in the home, and so it's an elderly couple living in this home, and people. It was a very desirable neighborhood, very affordable, very clean, and people were going crazy about this house. And so somebody, a little bit too enthusiastic. We talked before about the agent who was prospecting at a funeral. Right. It was like saying, hey, you know what? Your dad, we were kind of buddies. Am I going to sell his house? Before he died.
I'm not saying I did anything.
And it's like, the dude died. You're at his funeral. The body's still warm. And so some agents they're just not professional. And what had happened was this guy, for whatever reason, wasn't getting a response fast enough approving or suggesting a different time for the showing, so he just went in and he caught the poor lady in the shower.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so she freaked out, he freaked out, he ran. It was a huge thing. And so moving forward, what we did there, and it's a bit of a pain for everybody, for the agents, for the buyer's agents, the listing agents, for the sellers even. But you can do what's called a CBS. It's a call before showing code. And so then that way I have to give you the code verbally or text it to you. So yes, you can access it, but the bottom of the lockbox won't fall out unless you type in an extra code. So then we did that moving forward, and nobody was getting caught in the shower anymore.
But I'm sure that can be tricky, when someone's still living at the home. It's still their home, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they have kids, maybe they have pets.
Yep.
And making those arrangements where someone can stop by and look at the house, it can be crazy. You never know when you're going to walk in on a naked guy on the floor in the bedroom.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, stuff like that does happen, but really, and also family. So imagine Valerie and I are moving right now, and we're going to be one door down from my mom. Not next door neighbors, but one door down. My mom is probably going to be over at the house.
All the time.
All the
Absolutely.
time with the grandkids. She might be over there, and let's say we were selling that house. She might be over there, and nobody told her that we were going to have a showing. We just forgot, and mom shows up, right? That can, cause conflict. So you really have to communicate with your agent and make sure expectations are set about when showings can happen and how you want them to be performed.
But that's one of your suggestions for when you're advising one of your clients that's selling their home is, if at all possible, put things in storage, try to make the home as available and open as possible. If even maybe go stay with a family member during that period of when you're trying to sell that house, to just make it more appealing. Because people, when they walk in, they want to see a blank canvas, right?
They want to see a blank canvas, but they really just want to, even before they walk in, they're driving through the neighborhood. Where's the gas station? Where's the grocery stores? How far is this from work? Where's schools? Now they're driving through it. Are the neighbor houses kept up? Are people parking their cars on the lawn? What's that look like? And now they pull in front of the house, and now they're evaluating. Hey, is it maintained? What's the roof look like? What's the paint look like? What's the front door like? They open up the door. What does it smell like? Like a lot of people.
People forget about that. The smell is super important, huh?
Yeah. Like you watch shows and there's a bunch of homeless people in a city or on the news. And all I'm seeing when I see that, I'm not thinking about what the situation looks like. I'm thinking about what does the situation smell like.
You're just thinking of that urine smell.
The urine smell, the strong BO. Yeah. And so
you're smelling it now.
I'm smelling it now. But when you walk into the house, you want to make sure that the potential buyer feels welcome. And so, yes, you might have to do a little bit of depersonalization, but the most important thing is getting people in the home. Very rarely does a person buy the house sight unseen. And so when somebody's taking time out of their day, maybe taking time off work, maybe they've driven hours, maybe they flew from across the country and they picked your house. Out of the other homes on the market, they picked yours. You want to be as welcoming as possible and as accommodating. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, you got to get the dogs, kenneled or out of the house. Yes, you have to keep it clean. But you're selling a house that's probably worth 5, 6, maybe there's 2 commas, over $1 million. It's worth it for that brief bit of pain in order to get that property under contract.
Yeah. I heard that it's a good idea to maybe put some toast in the toaster or make some cookies. Because you talked about smell, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that effective?
So you want the dishes to be clean, right? So you don't want dirty dishes in the sink. You want it to be clean. And then if you do have pets, or if you maybe cooked something that had a strong odor to it, I hate the smell of Brussels sprouts. I love eating them, but I hate the smell of Brussels sprouts. So if you cook something like that, yes, you could do cookies, but if it was me, I would either have some type of a plug-in, like a Glade plug-in, or light a candle. But I'd prefer something that's doesn't have an open flame in case I leave and something comes back. So those are some easy tips.
There you go. Yeah. So if somebody would like more tips in selling their home and they're eager to put this thing on the market and get it sold within the next month, what should they do?
So if they're wanting to sell, reach out to our team. We can give you tons of tips. The most important thing that we end up doing that really just puts people at ease, because a lot of people are like, hey, I've sold a house before, but it's been 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Or they feel confident in the process, but maybe things have changed since the last time you sold. And so the thing that most people really enjoy is when we have a professional home readiness consultation. So we actually pay for somebody to come out there and give you tips on how to get the home picture ready. Because homes that are picture ready take better photos, show better online, and ultimately sell for more money.
That's good. So 530 get more, right?
You can reach out to us and or just Google Made for More. You'll see us. You'll see that we have more Google reviews than anybody out there. So not only do we sell a house on average every 3 days, but we do a fantastic job for our clients.
Mike, I love this story. Jessica and Brian were selling their home and retiring out of state. They needed to make the most money possible because a large portion of their retirement funds was tied up in the equity of their house. Johnny Jennings and the Made for More team were able to get them an offer $35,000.
Wow.
Above list price, and it helped them make a smooth move out of state.
Yeah, so if you want to sell your home and maybe it's not in the best condition, you're like, oh, we should probably do something about the roof or the carpets, and you're worried about that, you don't need to worry. Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty can get you a guaranteed offer for whatever condition your house is in. It's private, it's secure, and you can even get your offer in the same day. So if you're looking to sell your home and you don't want to go through the whole open house and showing and that whole process, you got to call Johnny Jennings at Made for More Realty today. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Johnny, I have some friends, and
Really?
yeah, just a few.
Just a
You
few.
know, they're
Do
my
you
wife's
have-
friends, so I call them my friends.
There you go.
Right, I had to pay them a little bit.
Happy early anniversary, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So, they are looking at realtors, and they heard your show, and they said that they want a realtor that's young because they feel like they can probably negotiate on the commission, and that realtor is going to be more available because they want to go see a ton of houses,
Yep,
right?
yep.
They're one of those people. They want to see every available home in the state of California before they decide. So I was telling them, Johnny Jennings, he's really experienced and he's sold a lot of homes. They're like, we want somebody fresh, just got their license so that we can push them around a little bit. They're going to be super available. We call them up. They're going to take us where we need to go.
Yeah.
And they'll probably, give us a better deal. What do you think about that? Because I said, well, what about an experienced person that can, because I heard an experienced person has better negotiating skills, can close a deal better. What is your perspective on that? A green realtor just started versus an experienced realtor.
Well, I would like to ask your friends the question, if you were getting heart surgery, would you want to go with the guy that's doing it super cheap and is new? Or would you want to go with somebody that has been doing this for a long time, might be more expensive, but has a track record of success?
Well, they would probably say they also want a heart surgeon that's available, that will take their calls, right? And that can get it done fast.
Yeah. So it really comes down to what they're looking for. Okay. People oftentimes think that the only way to save money is to save on commissions. That's they think that's the most expensive part. And yes, it is expensive. I'm not saying it's not, but every time you swipe a card, there's a fee, right? Every single time you buy milk, you buy eggs, you do anything, there's a fee. There's just your financial advisor. He's managing your money. There's a fee every single year. Right. But you're only buying a house once every 5, 7, 10 years. And yes, there's going to be a fee for that. So what I would tell your friends is, what's more important to you? How much money you're saving in total, or how much money you're saving on commissions? Because those two are not linked. Like, we have to break the paradigm that, hey, commissions are the only way to save on a deal. Because you're right, somebody that's experienced knows how to negotiate. They know how to communicate with the listing agent. They might have a good reputation in the community, and your offer might get picked over somebody else's because they're confident that because think about it from the listing agent's perspective. Whoever we end up working across from, are they going to get the deal done? Because if you go into contract and that deal doesn't go through, that's like the kiss of death. All of a sudden, you can count. You're going to more than likely lose thousands of dollars off the sale of that home price when the next buyer comes in, because everybody's going to want to know what happened. Why didn't it sell the first time? Even though if you say, hey, due to no fault of the seller. And so there's so many. If you think all the agent does is open doors and write paperwork, then I can totally get why you think cutting commissions is the best way to go. Like, not you, but whoever it is that wants to do that. But when you realize, hey, that's not what they do, that's like that can be automated. Like, you can give a kid a super lockbox, he can get licensed and he can open up doors. Like, that's not what you're paying your real estate agent for. You're paying your real estate agent to know the neighborhoods, know how to negotiate, know how to protect you in the agreement, know what's normal. Because you may say, hey, I want this, 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 and this, and the deal blows up because what you wanted was out of line for what's typical for the market. Or you may have not asked for enough things. The seller may have been willing to negotiate more on certain items, and your agent didn't know how to do that. And so it really comes down to experience. Another way to look at it is, why is that agent not busy? Why are more people
Why are they so available?
Why are they so available? Why aren't more people working with them if they're so great and they're willing to reduce their commission? I prefer to pay a premium for somebody who's going to get the job done, because at the end of the day, quality trumps quantity in terms of pricing. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think also what I appreciate about you and your team is it's a team. It's not just one person trying to get everything done, where you have a network on your cell phone of vendors, of resources and information that, snap of a finger, you're connected with them. So whatever question they have or whatever needs to get done, I mean, we all know this. When you have a team of experts together, you're going to fix problems and solve and address issues and get things done more efficiently than if you're by yourself trying to do it solo. And and a lot of new realtors are hustling, and maybe they're working hard, but again, they're new, so they're trying to do it solo. And you've learned that, hey, it's better to do things as a team.
Yep. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And to get from start of the transaction to the end of the transaction, that is a long distance you have to cover. If you're going to go that far, you have to go together, and you have to have people supporting you and backing you up in that process. And so when it comes to, hey, should I pay somebody that has a lower fee and is more available, or somebody that maybe has the experience, I would recommend go with somebody that is hungry, humble, ready to learn, but also has the backing of a team.
Yeah.
Because how hard, if you're gonna discount somebody, if you're gonna say, hey, I get everybody else is paying you X, but I'm gonna pay you half of that, how hard are they really gonna work for you?
Right.
Right? Are they gonna really show you 50 houses?
Right.
If like, let's say you came to us and you wanted to work with the Made for More team, we have 30 agents who can show you houses. So if one agent isn't available or another agent is available, we can find somebody to show you those homes and get you in there first before anybody else.
Right.
And if you're going with the cheap person that is either run ragged because they're so cheap, or they're cheap because they're just desperate for a deal, do you want somebody that's desperate for a deal, or do you want somebody that's desperate to find a deal for you?
Yeah. And I look at it oftentimes as it's not a game, but it is somewhat of a competition, and I want to be on a winning team. Because with a negotiation, I wouldn't say there's a winner and a loser, but you do want someone that's going to advocate for you, that's going to fight for you, and is going to win when it comes to the negotiation, is going to win for me. That's who I want. I want somebody who has a track record of winning, closing deals, getting more for homes, getting in there and doing what my ultimate goal is, and having confidence in that. I think I think, when you go and you look for an attorney or a lawyer, you look at how many cases have you won? How much money have you won for your plaintiffs? Because that shows that they've got a proven record of winning, right? Yeah. And I think it's similar to when you work with a real estate agent. You want to work with somebody that has a track record of winning, of winning for their clients.
Yeah, that has a track record of success.
Yeah.
And so if you're out shopping, you're gonna, what is it? You can have something done fast, you can have something done well, and you can have something done cheap. Right? Those are the three different qualifiers. Pick two. Right? So you can have something done fast and cheap, but it won't be done well. And when you're talking about purchasing a home, this isn't something. This is, people forget about buying a car. This is cost many times your typical car. And so this is something you only do every, so many years. And then when you go to sell it, a lot of people's retirement, a lot of people's net worth is tied up in this.
Yes.
In this purchase. And so you're now willing to discredit all of that to save 1%.
Right.
Right? When in the grand scheme of your financial outlook, that is not going to change the picture. What could change the picture is, are you overpaying for the house? Is your agent negotiating for you? Are you selling the house for top dollar? Things like that.
I've made those mistakes in my life, not necessarily in real estate, but trying to go the cheap route, trying to save money.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think, why did I do that? Why didn't I just spend a few more bucks to get the better quality product or go this route?
Yeah.
And now I'm screwed because it didn't turn out the way I wanted to,
Yep. So this kind of segues a little bit into like the top mistakes agents typically, top mistakes sellers typically make when selling their home. There's 5 of them. And so can you guess any of them? What do you think?
The top 5 mistakes that real estate agents make?
That sellers make when trying to sell their house.
Well, I would assume pricing it too high.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Is
that one of them?
That is definitely one of them. That is probably like my biggest.
Well, it's their baby. I get it. Their emotion. We've talked about this before. Emotion is tied up into it. And when there's emotion, obviously that home is priceless. You can't even put a price on that treehouse or those marks in the house where their little baby girl grew up.
Yeah.
Their home is it's their home. It's not a house. It's more than just 2x4s. It's their home. So you can't put a price on that. So obviously they're going to want to get the most money for it as possible.
And I totally get it. And I want you to get the most money for it as possible. But if you overprice the home, it's not going to sell. You're not going to get the most money possible. It's going to sit.
Right.
And as it sits, then you're going to start having to do price adjustments. And then when you finally do get an offer, you'll only have one, typically, if you've been on the market a long time. And then they're going to come in even lower. And then they're going to do the request for repairs, and they're going to come even lower. And so when it's all said and done, you're going to net far less. You're going to make far less money than if you would have priced the home aggressively out the gate, gotten multiple offers, and closed on the home. And that's not even counting the carrying costs. Like if your mortgage is $3,000 a month and the house is on the market for 6 months, it just cost you $18,000 in a home you didn't want to be in the first place.
There you go. All right, what are the other 4?
Other 4. So believing your house is the exception to the rule. Right?
Oh, right.
Is one of them. Thinking that it's about them. Hey, this is what I need. This is what I need to make out of the house. Right?
Right.
Yeah, it's totally up to the seller. It's your house, your rules. You can totally pick the listing price, but it's up to the buyer to determine what that house is ultimately going to sell for because they're the one bringing the money to the equation.
That's important, yeah.
Right? So it's not about you. It's about the buyer. Believing your house is the exception to the rule. Not removing your personal footprint. Like, hey, I love this nude portrait of myself, right? Like, okay, great, I get it, but it should come down because not everybody's going to like that picture, okay?
Right.
So doing that, not conducting a home inspection. This is like overpricing the home and not conducting a home inspection is huge, especially with Bay Area buyers because in the Bay, that's what they're accustomed to. They're accustomed to having the seller to perform those inspections up front. And if the seller is not performing those inspections up front and they're coming out here, they're wondering, why not? What are they hiding? It's just, highly, highly recommend you get those inspections done up front. And then believing that my home is special and the buyer will see it the same way I do. Right? It's your home. They may have different expectations. You may like the green wall, but they may not like the green wall.
You may think you have a cute baby, but
oh, man.
maybe
that's
not.
A whole other thing. Somebody sent us a picture of our boy, Jack, when he was little, and I sent a picture back of Gollum. I was like, man.
You didn't think your baby was cute?
No.
Wow.
Dude, he was, I thought he was scary looking.
Really?
Yeah.
What did your wife think?
She said, that's horrible. It's just because he doesn't have any hair. I said, yeah.
Okay, you know what? We don't have enough time to dive into this topic. We definitely are going to have to cover this in the next show.
Hey, I'm just being real. He's a cute kid now, but he wasn't then. All right, Matt. Thanks so much.